I would love to hear your thoughts on your definition of the law of attraction, but also maybe the three habits that you see people doing the most that hurt them from attracting effortlessly using the law of attraction.
Right. Well, the main mistake perhaps that people make is not coming from a place of fullness, but coming from a place of neediness, and putting too much attention on what is the undesirable conditions so that they want to get rid of, but mentally almost continuously focusing on the undesirable condition, like not enough money, for example. That is the problem for many people. Uh, so
So let's use money for the example then, the law of attraction with money. How could we attract more wealth or financial abundance in our life using the law of attraction?
yeah, well, first of all is the acknowledgement of abundance that is already here and now, and not focusing on the lack of abundance that is here now, which you could find by thinking about it, but to actually focus on where is the abundance that I can find here and now, and that is all around you. It is in nature. When you look at the abundance of nature, the multiplicity of life forms, the wonder of nature, uh, the abundance of even, or let's say you're in a city, you can look at, uh, appreciate all the things that you see around you. You don't need to necessarily own it or buy it, just
Right.
appreciate it. And so this first, the appreciation of the goodness of life that is always all around you. Even if you have no money, there's still the goodness of life is all around you. You see it all around you. The sunshine, I mean, the sun is the ultimate symbol of abundance because it gives energy of itself almost eternal. I mean, eventually the sun will die, but as far as we are concerned, it's virtually eternal. It pours out energy continuously, and this uh, at some point we will realize that even on the level of energy, the universe is infinitely abundant. So we will no longer need things that we're using now, fossil fuels and those things. We have access to other forms of energy that are more helpful. But
Right.
the abundance is all around you. Let's say you're past in the city, you're walking past a flower shop, and you look at, wow, such beauty, appreciation, even to seeing a beautiful man or woman, or nice, or even a beautiful car. Oh, I love that. Not why don't I have that car? Why does he have that car? It's all egoic much narratives that make you unhappy. To appreciate, no, nature, of course, is very powerful, and then you to appreciate the aliveness in your body, that you're breathing, and you can actually feel that the your body. Well, many people can't feel that. I call it the inner body awareness. You feel
Uh,
that every cell of your body is pervaded with a sense of aliveness, with energy, and you can feel that. That is abundance. So there's abundance of life all around you. There's you can feel the life within you also, and so some people call it gratitude. I call it more appreciation, the appreciation of the abundance of life that is always around you. That's a wonderful starting point.
okay.
Uh, so you're not focusing on lack, you're focusing on abundance. And
Even when you don't have any, if you feel like you
yes,
don't
you
have
don't,
anything, you can find abundance around you.
yes, always acknowledge it, the good
Yes.
things of life, acknowledge, but even the seemingly insignificant things like uh, when I look out of the window, there's trees out here. I, right now I can look out I can see there's a slight breeze and the branches are swaying slightly in the wind. It's beautiful. And there's the tree in all its majesty and stillness. It's been there for 100 years. And that's wonderful. I don't need to own that tree. I mean, owning in that sense is ultimately a bit meaningless anyway. Yes, I own this house where I am right now, but at some point I'll be gone. And so, what does it mean? The house somebody else will own the house. Own is a
Right.
secondary. I'm not saying to let go of ownership sometimes can give stability to your life on a practical level, but there's something more important. So this appreciation, or if you want to call it gratitude, some people recommend, I think Oprah said that she has had for many, many years a notebook or journal where she writes down every day things that she's grateful for. And um, these are usually seemingly insignificant things, but it's important not to overlook that. And I don't think she's writing down, I'm grateful that I have a private jet, or I'm grateful that I have a $2.5 billion in the bank. That's
Right.
she writes down the small things that
I'm
everyday
grateful for my
life.
garden. I'm grateful I get to plant a flower today.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I get to go on a walk with my friends. I'm grateful that I woke up
Yes.
today.
Yes. Yes. The next thing is the second thing you could say is giving. To give to give energy to other people. Uh, Appreciation itself is already a form of certain outflow of energy. When you appreciate this tree beauty, there's an energy connection with the tree. The consciousness connects you with the tree, and kindness is part of giving. Kindness to another person, not because you want anything from that person, but because it feels so good to have this sense of, we could call it goodwill, that flows out of you towards another person. Even if you just hold the door open for somebody, or it's a remark, or that's what's lovely, I love your dress, or whatever you say, if it's genuine, or to say an encouraging word to somebody, or to whatever it may be, a smile, or smile at somebody. Even that is a form of giving. This connection with another. Kindness is a very powerful thing. So you are giving. You're not. The more you give, that it's in the law of attraction or nature. It's as you give, it must come back to you in another form. But it doesn't work if you give out of an obligation that you feel you should be giving, or it needs to be a genuine sense of wanting to give and feeling how good it feels to give, not because mentally you feel you always need to help people, because otherwise you don't think of yourself as a good person or something. That's all mind stuff. But to experience how good it feels to give. So we have, on the one hand, appreciation, gratitude and appreciation are kind of same thing. Then giving every day of in whatever form, and the next thing is that obviously Jesus already in one sentence, one could say, told us the essence of manifesting and how it works. And he said, whenever you pray for something that you want, believe that you already have it and it will be given to you.
Yes.
There's the key. Though the important thing is, he did not say, believe that you will have it. He said, believe that you already have it. Now, this may not be immediately clear to people. How do I do that? How do I believe that I already have it when I know that I don't have it?
Right. How do you get that belief of having it before
Yeah.
knowing, feeling, tasting, smelling the thing that you want?
Yes. So you feel the thing, it is already a mental reality in your mind. How do you feel now that you have it in your mind? How does it feel? And this feeling is really where the power of manifestation lies. But what is that feeling? Because that feeling of having it already and feeling this deep sense of satisfaction is really connecting with the deeper power within yourself, which is the power where all sense of aliveness originates there. It's a deeper sense of aliveness that comes from consciousness itself. So
Right.
you might believe it might differ from person to person. One person might think, okay, what I want is a big house with overlooking the ocean or whatever, and then you feel yourself you're already there, experiencing that. Another person might think, well, what I want is to have this great a company that does good things in this world, and I'm at the end. How does that feel? But you might find that the feeling is actually basically always the same, whether your mind says, that's a house
Uh,
overlooking the ocean in Hawaii, or the other person says, well, this is the company that I'm the head of that's doing great things in this world. The feeling is basically the same feeling. And the feeling is a feeling of fullness of life,
yes.
of completeness. That is power. So when you feel this feeling of fullness and then you associate it with a mental image, that is the power of manifestation there. But the feeling itself is beyond the mental image and is beyond whatever form you are able to manifest in this world, because that is the feeling of the inherent sense of aliveness that comes when you go deeper into yourself and experience the presence that you are. And this to know yourself as the presence is inherently joyful and powerful. To know yourself as so, and that is, you manifest from a place of fullness, not from a place of lack. The
Right.
fullness is already there. And that also means if for some reason it doesn't manifest, because not everybody's desires manifest. I mean, I don't know if it's still happening. LA, for example, if you go to any good restaurant in LA, it's more than likely that the waiter or waitress will be actors waiting for their big
Yes.
breakthrough. And then
Yep.
it's just not possible for so many people to have the big breakthrough in LA as actors. Some may do, few may do, but most probably won't. But
Right.
they probably have other breakthroughs that perhaps are much more important than what their ego tells them is important.
And to add to that, I love this, what you're sharing here, because I want people to really feel this and understand this and embrace it. Because when we try to manifest from lack, it's going to be this needy energy, which was your first point, that kind of kills the dream of the law of attraction. And when we manifest from a place of fullness, like you spoke of, like feeling a feeling of fullness, wholeness, excitement, abundance, joy inside of us. And if it doesn't happen, if that dream doesn't come to us in the next year or 5 or 10 years, then we've lived a full, rich life every moment till that moment. Like we've lived a full year of feeling excited and passionate and good about ourselves. And that energy is magnetic. You will draw in great people, partners, relationships, opportunities that maybe you couldn't have dreamed of, because the energy you gave into the world, like you talked about. And I think that's the big point for me, is the dream and the idea that you have, maybe your ego wants, maybe you won't have it. But man, you'll live a great, beautiful, rich life in the process of pursuing it.
Very good point. So in other words, the journey is what matters. The arriving at some destination is the end point, but it's secondary. The journey is
Yes.
always the journey. It's always now. That's what matters. And so sometimes what you wanted to manifest does not happen, but something else manifests. that could be even better. In fact, in many
Even
cases,
better.
is much better than what you have had
Mm,
envisaged first.
absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah, I always wanted to be a professional athlete, and I played professional football for about a year and a half before I got injured. In the injury, I broke my wrist, and I was wearing a cast, and I had a surgery, and I had a cast on for 6 months, and it took about a year and a half for me to use my wrist again from the injury. And during that time, I was in a state of extreme sadness and a loss and a grief of this identity that I once had and this dream that I once had that I was working so hard for my whole life to manifest, to create. And then all of a sudden, this injury broke the my abilities to do that. And I remember thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what's the point? 23, 24 years old. I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? And it led me into this journey that I'm on now, of doing this interview series and podcast for the last 10 years, that I'd much rather have this life than the life of a professional athlete now. Like, and sometimes, like you said, going back to the beginning of this, if we can accept and surrender in the positive way to see what good can come, it may be challenging in the moment, but it's been a blessing since then.
yes, that's a lovely story. That's how it actually works. And another thing to mention is, let's say you do let's say you do manifest what it is you wanted to manifest. When you come from this place of fullness, you do not have, yes, you have an appreciation of what you have achieved, but you don't have an excessive attachment to what you have achieved. Let's say you are able to manifest that you have a house overlooking the ocean, and you manifest it, and there you have it. And one day, when you get home, you find your house is fallen into the ocean. It's gone.
Right,
uh,
right.
so the whole thing that you worked so hard for to achieve is suddenly gone. But this place of fullness that enabled you to manifest that is still there. It's beyond outer forms.
Yeah. And you feel full in life. Maybe there's a moment of sadness during that, but if you're not attached to the physical things you've manifested, I'm sure if I lost my home, I feel like it's a sanctuary. It's a beautiful, peaceful space. But I've lived in 2-bedroom apartments for most of my life, and I felt like those were peaceful places for me. And it's not like, I'm sure I'd be sad for a minute, but then I could also create the sense of fullness in the next space.
Exactly. And I have this, like, see, I for a long time, until my 32nd year, my main form of transportation was, except other than public transport, was a bicycle.
That's beautiful.
So I got my driver's license when I was 30, and my first car when I was 32, and that was a very
What city were you in? What country or
in
city?
London and Cambridge. I lived at that time, and I loved my bicycle. I just wonder, I appreciated it. I loved. Sometimes I just looked at it, was standing there, and I had and then somebody gave me. I was poor at the time. Somebody gave me an older car, and I loved that. And then I was able to. I got a little bit of money. I was able to buy the cheapest car I could find. It was called Lada. It's a Russian make. They still make them, but they're a bit better now than they used to be. And people would laugh at these cars because they were notorious for breaking down, but it was very, very cheap. And I bought this, and it never broke down. I loved that car. It never broke down. I must admit, very embarrassing on hills because you couldn't. You were holding everybody
You had
up.
to get out and push it. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved that car, and then I eventually left England, and I sold it. A friend of mine was interested. I sold it to him, and 2 or 3 weeks after he bought it, it broke down and couldn't get repaired anymore. It was incredible. It's almost effortless because I have this kind of relationship even with so-called inanimate objects. I think that even there is a glimmer of consciousness in everything.
Really?
The beginning of an awakening for people out of their suffering is the realization that most of the psychological suffering, because this is what we're talking about, we're not talking about
Yes.
toothache or
Yes.
anything like that.